All right, we'll get started in just a minute here. For anyone who didn't hear the question that was asked already, you don't need shoes for today. It's fine if you have them on, though. We'll be doing a little foot focus at the end where you will have to take them off, but on or off is fine for right now. So we're going to start with just a relaxing back roll. So you want to take your foam roller, have it perpendicular to your spine, and you're going to be on the ground, just rolling up and down your spine. So when you roll up towards your head, you want to stop at about where your neck meets your shoulders, and then slowly roll down your back. And you want to stop at about where you feel like your last rib is there. Doesn't feel great to go past that point too much. We're just going to go back and forth here for a couple minutes to get things loosened up. One thing you can do to kind of open up your back a little bit is just place your hands behind your head and push your elbows in towards each other. That kind of opens up between your shoulder blades a little bit more so you can get access to more of those muscles back there. So we're just going up and down the spine. If you feel any spots that feel particularly tight or like they need some extra attention, feel free to stop at that position and kind of arch your back over the foam roller a few times at that spot. But we're just going to continue rolling here for another minute before we do any stretching or mobilizing of the back. Good. So again, you're going all the way down to where you feel like that last rib is. And then you're following your spine up until you get to where your neck is kind of meeting your torso and your shoulders. And stopping at any point along the way to do a little extra work if you feel like you need it. Okay, now we're going to move a little bit just to get that spine lubricated a little bit. So we'll start on all fours. And you can follow me here into a little cat camel. So camel is going to be arching your back like this. A little cat is going to be arching your back up like this. We're just going to go back and forth through that a few times. This is nice. We're working into that flexion and extension of the spine. It's getting everything loosened up. So you're tucking your tail under for that camel, and you're sticking your tail out for that cat. Each time kind of challenging yourself to go a little bit further into that stretch. Good. We're going to take this and do a larger version of this, go into Cobra and Child's Pose next. All right, so let's sink down onto those heels into Child's Pose. Just hold it there for a second, feel a good stretch in your back. And then you want to rock forward into that Cobra position, really feeling that stretch through the front of your torso. The back is one of the areas that are most commonly tight in the general population. So that's why we just kind of start there. Maybe address some things that haven't loosened up from our sleep last night. Just getting everything moving in the back. Good. Okay, we are going to be on to hips next. So what I'm going to do is have you roll onto a sitting position on your mat. And what we're going to do now is work on the right hip. What I want you to do is lie flat on the mat. The foam roller is going to be this position here, so kind of on top of your sacrum. You don't want it up too high on your back, but just have this top part of the foam roller at about the level of your hips or slightly above. That's the position it is underneath of you. So you're going to have that right under your sacrum. And what I want you to do is start rolling out to the side. So you just kind of are like you're trying to almost roll off the side of that. So you're taking it all the way up to that right side where you feel that little hip bone in the side of your hip. And then you just roll back to the middle position. Now you may need to reposition a couple of times with this because it can kind of scoot out from underneath of you with this position that we're rolling in. We're just trying to get that right glute and that hip area softened up a little bit before we stretch it out. Good. And so with foam rolling, always just, it should be maybe a little bit uncomfortable, like you're getting a massage, but a good kind of uncomfortable. You don't want to be in agony, that's for sure. Should feel relaxing to you. You want to be able to relax through whatever kind of pressure you're feeling. So if it's too much pressure, just don't use your full body weight on the foam roller. That's how we modify this to make it comfortable. Being careful how much of your body weight you're putting on it, okay? All right, so let's recenter that foam roller right in the middle. And now we're taking it onto the left hip. So you're just rolling to that left side, like you're almost gonna roll off of it. And then you're rolling back to the middle. Letting that foam roller come all the way up to that bony area in the side of your hip, and then back to the middle. And as with all of the foam rolling we're doing, I'm going to encourage you to just do what I'm doing, but if you really find a spot that feels like, wow, I didn't know that was there, that needs work, you know, you can zero in and really kind of stay on that spot if that feels good to you. Right. And we'll get into the stretching here in a few seconds, but the note about stretching in general, it's not a no pain, no gain situation. You also want to feel like you can relax through the stretching too. So as we go into a stretch after this, you just want to go until you feel the sensation of stretch. You don't need to challenge yourself in trying to push past that. So just being mindful of what feels good to you there as well. Okay, so next up, we're going to do a pigeon pose and a modified pigeon pose. So if you take a look here. So for those of you, there's a couple of different ways to do this. Anybody who has a knee issue may want to pay attention to different ways to do this. So the one way we can do this here to stretch the hip out is just in this position here. You're going to take one leg out and press the other knee away. If you can, try to get into pigeon pose here, where this is one leg bent. So you take your left leg first, bend that in front of you, and you want to kind of sink down into that stretch. So we're going to start with the left side in whichever position, sitting or the pigeon pose that you like. And I'm going to challenge you to do, if you're in this pigeon pose on the mat, a little stretch forward. Can you see my forearms on the foam roller? Right? So I'm actually getting a hip stretch because I got that left leg bent in front of me. But with my arms elevated on the foam roller like this, I'm actually feeling a really nice shoulder stretch too. So if that feels all right to you, you can go into that. Always just keep your forearms on the ground too, if that feels better. We're gonna hang out here for a little bit before we switch to the other side. Really breathing deep. Another important part of stretching, sometimes when we're being still, whether it's doing a plank or a wall sit or a stretch like this where we're holding for a while, it's easy to forget to move the lungs properly. So just be conscious of taking some nice, deep, relaxing breaths as you sink into this stretch. Okay, now we're gonna go out and take the right leg in front of us to do the hip stretch for the right side. So bend that right leg in front of you and fold your body forward. Nice deep breath. This is a great stretch, not just for the hips, but this one is really, if you're ever having low back pain, this is one to be a good stretch to do. Really helps loosen up the back as well. When you're taking these deep breaths, when you're breathing out, think about sinking just ever so slightly deeper into that stretch, just a fraction of a millimeter, just a little deeper. In a few seconds, we're going to work our way down the body into the legs, getting into the back of the legs. I'll have you come back up to sitting on the mat. So right now we're going to focus on what's happening in the hamstrings, the back of the leg area here. So for this stretch, or for this mobilization rather, we're going to be moving up and down the leg between just above that back of the knee area, all the way to your glutes. So when you feel that stopping point of your glutes, then you want to roll back down your leg. Now, this one sometimes people will struggle with because you're holding your body up a little bit. So if it's not comfortable to hold your body up like this, you can still roll up and down the leg, just scooting. So you're kind of scooting section by section and not having to suspend your body the whole time. And that works just as well. So we're going up and down your leg here. And now I'm going to have you twist your leg so that you're working on the inner thigh. So if you're on your left leg, you'd be twisting your toes to the right. If you chose to work on your right leg, you'll be twisting those right toes to the left. So what that does, still working into the hamstrings, but we're getting a little bit of adductor work too. And now I'm going to turn those toes the other way. So now we're kind of going almost into that IT band area, looking on the outside of that thigh. Here again, any areas you feel like need extra work, just hang out there, roll back and forth just a little bit. Okay, let's switch legs now. We can do the same thing on the other leg. Foam roller just above the back of the knee. And we are rolling all the way up to the back of that leg to where your glutes meet your hamstrings there. So kind of a natural stopping point because you've got that cushion of your glutes, providing a stop point for you there. So we're just rolling back and forth here. Now I'm going to have you twist that toe inward. Twist your toes inward so you can get that inner thigh. So these are more into the adductors and the hamstrings. And here again, modifying how much body weight you put on it. Only do what's comfortable for you. And we'll rotate your foot outward so you can get the outside of your thigh a little bit, closer to that IT band area. Now that we've gotten the back of the legs warmed up and mobilized a little bit, we're going to go into stretching that area. All right, so you can set your foam roller aside for now. Take whatever stretching strap that you have chosen to use for today. Let's loop it around your left foot. All right, so you've got it around like the ball of your foot or the middle of your foot. You're going to lie on your back and you want to pull that foot up until you feel a good stretch in your hamstring. Now your other leg can be straight like mine, or if it feels more comfortable on your back, you can bend that other leg. I don't really care as long as it's comfortable on your back and that you are feeling a stretch in this leg that you're pulling back. If you can, with whatever strap you have, focus on, instead of gripping the strap up close to your foot, try to grip it as close to the ground as you can. If you can, get your elbows on the ground. That just relaxes your back so much more if you can have your elbows on the mat. Good. Keep breathing. Nice deep breath through this stretch. Now we want to work into that adductor that we massaged a little bit. So put both straps, both ends of the strap in your left hand, and you're going to let that left leg kind of fall to the left a little bit, okay? Just stop when you feel a comfortable stretch in that inner thigh. You want to intensify a little bit, you can always pull your toes back towards your knee. I'll give you a little extra stretch if you'd like. Great, let's switch legs. So put that band around the middle of your right foot, and you're pulling that right foot back so you can get a good stretch in the back of your hamstring on your right leg. Good. My goal in working down the body with you like this is just kind of giving you a taste of what working into mobilizing and stretching certain areas of the body can feel like, so that you can have your own arsenal to work with outside of these classes. So you know what to do when something's feeling tight. Okay, go ahead and take that both ends of the strap in your right hand and let that right leg kind of fall to your right side so that you can get the stretch in that inner thigh on the right side. Well, chances are if you, for instance, had a hamstring issue, that you'd be spending more than this, 3 or 4 minutes a leg that we spend here. You probably want to devote 5 or 10 on your own, but this just kind of gives you an idea of like, this is something I can do. Really help out if this is bothering me. And it feels good, doesn't it? Okay. So we're going to work our way further down the leg. And we're going to do some footwork. This is the focus for today. Got a little extra time on this. So I have a picture I made for you. Valentine's Day picture. Take a look. Okay, you got a foot. So two things to pay attention to. The lines, the dotted lines, that's what we're going to start with. You're going to want to take your shoes and socks off, everyone, for this last bit. What you're going to be doing is for the lines on the foot, those are what you want to envision on the bottom of your feet as you put your foot on the edge of this foam roller. So I'll demonstrate what that looks like, but you want to demonstrate traveling down the bottom of your foot on those imaginary lines, like ½ inch at a time. Don't forget the hearts. Pay attention to these hearts here. We're also going to use those as reference points in a couple minutes. So the lines and then the hearts around the arch. All right, so first up, what we're going to do is, now that you've got your shoe and your socks off, you're going to put your foam roller against a wall or something so that it won't move. And you want to start by traveling up, putting the edge of your foot on the ball of your foot on the edge of that foam roller and traveling up those imaginary dotted lines. So we're just pressing from the toes all the way to the heels. So you can here, again, hang out at any particular spot that feels good to you. We're just working in those little sections, like those dotted lines. So imagining those lines on the bottom of your foot and working the edge of that foam roller into each of those lines to give yourself a little massage from the ball of your foot to the heel of your foot. Okay. All right, and we're going to switch to the other foot here, working into that bottom of the foot, little further each time you move from the ball of your foot to the heel. Good. Okay. So I think most of you know I'm a massage therapist, and whenever a client comes to me with foot issues, especially the bottom of the foot issues, like the area we're working on now, one of the main things that I try to focus on is actually the calf, so above the foot. And the reason being is the majority of those muscles, a lot of those muscles in the calf have attachments in the foot. So when the calf muscle is tight, pulls on the foot and makes the foot feel tight. So that's our next move here in treating the foot, is to go after those calf muscles. So let's get back on the mat with the foam roller. And you're going to start with the foam roller under one ankle. And then you're going to roll like this all the way up. You can stop short. You don't want to go right into that concave area in the middle of your knee, the back of your knee. You want to avoid that area, but you want to stop just short of that and then roll back down to the ankle. So here, like we did with the hamstring stretch, if that holding yourself up off the mat is just not feeling too great to you, just do it stepwise. So little, kind of scooting a little bit at a time over that. And you can really stay in one area too if you need it, and kind of just work in and out like this. here again, like we did with the hamstring, whatever foot you're on, twist it inward. So twist it towards the middle, and you can get the inside of that calf muscle. Going a few times like that, and now twist it, go to the outside of that calf muscle. Good. Now let's switch legs. So we're going back and forth on the other calf from ankle to just stopping just shy of the area where the back of your knee kind of forms that indentation. You're stopping at the top of that calf muscle and working down into the ankle. And rotating that foot inwards to get the inside of that calf muscle. Now rotating it outwards to get the outside of the calf muscle. Okay. All right, got some foot stretching for you here. Next up, we're gonna stand and put your right leg in front of you like this, left leg behind. And I want you to lift, start lifting the left foot off the ground. Keep the toes on the ground, but lift that heel up, lift every part of that foot up except for the toes. The toes stay on the mat. So right now, you should feel pretty good stretch in through the bottom of your foot, especially the arch of your foot, just by keeping all of your toes on the ground. Everything's on the ground except, everything's off the ground except for your toes. And that is a good stretch in through the ball of your foot and the arch of your foot. And we're gonna switch sides. So now your right foot's in front, left foot's behind. Peel that foot off the mat, everything except for those toes. And then push down into the mat a little bit on your toes behind you, and you'll feel that really good stretch in the bottom of your foot. The last thing we're gonna do, remember the hearts that I showed you earlier. This is my little Valentine's Day present to you. If you're gonna like this one. So we're gonna sit on the mat. I'm gonna show you close up what we're doing with the foot in case you can't tell from me on the mat, but essentially we're gonna be taking the hand on top of the foot and kind of trying to fold the toes under the foot. And what that's gonna do is give you a stretch on the top of your foot. So let's start with that. Let's start with the left foot. So you just kind of take that left foot ankle, place it on top of your right knee, and with your right hand, place it on top of your foot and really pull those toes like you're trying to touch the toes on the bottom of the sole of your feet. Now here is the Valentine's Day part. Remember those hearts? You're gonna take your left thumb and press into the arch. We have a great opportunity here because once we're holding these toes in that flexed position, the arch of the foot becomes very relaxed. It's a very relaxed position, so it's perfect for a little massage. So remember those hearts? You're just traveling up and down the arch of your foot in those spots, and that should feel really good. You're starting kind of just below that bone where you can feel of your big toe, and then you're traveling down in that arch all the way to the heel, up and down. Feels good, doesn't it? Okay, other side. The right ankle on top of the left knee. Left hand is pulling those toes in towards the bottom of the foot, and now you've got great area to massage with that. Just pressing that right thumb up and down into the arch. So I encourage you, if anything we did today felt especially good. Now, even though We're going to say goodbye in a second here. Just keep going. Give yourself a little treat. Work into any areas that might be calling to you today. A couple more seconds up and down, pressing that thumb into that arch as you pull those toes. All right. We have done it. So you'll be getting a link to this in case you want to do this again. Also a survey. I appreciate if you fill it out, and then I can decide whether I want to include this class as something regular for next month. Thank you, everyone. Good to see you this morning.